guys blocked my podium here. Can you hear me? We good? Got good sound? Good morning. Well, first, you guys ready to start? I'll wait for a thumbs up. I'll wait for a thumbs up. The light's blinding me so I can see over here. Good? We good over here? Okay. All right. I'm Shannon Bagley, the Chief of the Battle Creek Police Department. We're here today to give a statement regarding an incident that occurred yesterday. So I will read the statement, we'll watch a video, and then I'll answer a few questions, okay? Yesterday, February 15th, at approximately 9 a.m., officers from the Battle Creek Police Department responded to 62 East Michigan Avenue regarding an unwanted subject at that establishment. The subject, who was later identified as Dario Aguello, a 29-year-old male from San Antonio, Texas, was, at the request of management, asked to leave that location. When officers arrived at that location, he left without incident. Approximately 3 p.m. later that day, Mr. Aguello was a suspect of committing a felonious assault at 1 North Monroe Street here in the city of Battle Creek. A short time later, at approximately 3:30, Mr. Aguello went back to the location at 62 East Michigan Avenue. Upon his return, management contacted and requested the Battle Creek Police Department to respond due to concerns about his behavior. During this time, Battle Creek Police had been attempting to locate Mr. Aguello regarding the alleged felonious assault that had just occurred prior. BCPD officers responded to that business and located Mr. Aguello seated at a table. Officers recognized Mr. Aguello and attempted to detain him. Mr. Aguello was initially compliant. However, when the officer attempted to handcuff him, he resisted and no longer complied with the officer's verbal commands. As you will see in the video, Mr. Aguello continued to disregard the officer's commands and slowly began to walk at her. The officer attempted to tase Mr. Aguello. However, it had no effect. Mr. Aguello then rushed the officer, knocking her to the ground, and attempted to disarm her. Patrons inside the establishment rushed to the officer's aid and attempted to assist her. As backup officers were arriving, they observed Mr. Aguello on top of and fighting with the officer. One of the backup officers attempted to tase Mr. Aguello. That had no effect. During the struggle, Mr. Aguello continued to attempt to disarm the officer, ultimately shooting her in the leg. The officer advised the backup officers that Mr. Aguello had her gun and that she had just been shot. One of the backup officers then shot Mr. Aguello to stop his actions. Life-saving measures were attempted on scene. However, these attempts were unsuccessful, and Mr. Aguello was pronounced dead on scene. The officer was transported to Bronson Battle Creek and treated for non-life-threatening injuries. This investigation was turned over to the Michigan State Police as a standard procedure in officer-involved shootings. We will now play the video and we'll take a few questions.
You need to stop. Turn around. Okay, you need to turn around. Okay, you are being detained. You are being detained. Right, you're gonna get tased. Get down on the ground. Get down. Get down.
Okay. Take a few questions.
What was like the time span between between this first incident and then finding him there? And
You mean the first incident where he was basically in trouble with at the original location?
yeah.
So that occurred at 9 o'clock in the morning. The felonious assault occurred at approximately 3 p.m. in the afternoon, and then this occurred at approximately 3:30.
How many times? Do you know how many times the taser was deployed?
Well, there are 2 officers that deployed the taser, all right, and right now we believe they each deployed it once, but again, the investigation is ongoing.
How many people were inside Cafe Rica?
I don't have that number. I know there were, I want to think 5 to 8, but I can't confirm that right now.
And then can you go back to kind of how you guys located him at Cafe Rica?
We were called back to the scene. He responded back there after the initial 9 a.m. call, and when he came back, they were concerned about the behavior he was exhibiting. They called us to respond back out there.
Any indication that he appeared under the influence of anything, or does he have mental health issues?
We can't answer that at this time. It's ongoing, so I don't have that information for you yet.
How is the officer doing? What's her status?
Our officer's doing well. Again, she received a single gunshot wound, and we hope that she will be released later today. And the officer that ultimately had to use deadly force is doing well as well.
What was the man from Texas doing in Battle Creek?
I have no idea.
To clarify, the suspect used the officer's firearm to shoot her in the leg. He was not armed initially.
Correct. If you can watch the video again, but when the initial, as he rushes her, you can kind of see both hands reach towards her firearm.
And do we know, did he have any relationship with any employees, any people at Cafe Rica?
Don't believe so, but right now that's unknown.
Okay. What about relative to the assault on Monroe? Any idea? Is it anyone that he was related to, or was this just kind of an isolated
We do
incident?
not believe that the victim of that was in any way related or even knew him.
Okay. Thank you.
Is that the assault earlier in the day?
That was the assault approximately 30 minutes before the shooting occurred, yes.
And what was the incident at 9 a.m.? Can you tell us about that?
We got the call from dispatch that there was an unwanted subject inside of that establishment. So he was exhibiting behavior that was concerning to management. That's why they called us.
Looking how quickly that video, from the officer, saying that she's going to tase him to when he rushes at her, how quickly do these decisions have to be made, and how challenging is it for officers in situations like this?
Well, that video kind of speaks volumes to your question, right? There are decisions in nanoseconds sometimes, and especially when you have to consider an officer's size compared to the individual size that they're dealing with. That individual is probably approximately 6'2", well over 300 pounds. Far greater stature than the officer that was there trying to deal with it.
What happens now with the investigation? What are the status of the officers involved? Are they on paid leave?
Yeah.
What happens now?
Standard procedure when it comes to situations like this, both officers are placed on administrative leave. Michigan State Police will handle the criminal aspect of this investigation, and then internally we do an administrative review based upon our policies, procedures, and case laws subject to the use of force.
And I'm trying to remember from the video, was there a lot of people in the restaurant at the time, or was it mostly employees? Were there a few customers?
There weren't a lot of people. I don't have the exact number, somewhere between 5 and 8.
When Cafe Rica said they were concerned about his behavior, did they give any details exactly on what that behavior was like?
No.
I guess, just knowing that the officer survived, and being the chief, that has to be pretty big relief.
Well, this is a horrific situation. We wish that it had not occurred. All things considered, we're sorry that there was a loss of life, but we are also feel very blessed that the officer is also going to be fine. So, it's a tough day, but we're I guess we're for all intents and purposes, we're glad and happy, all things considered, how it turned out, as tragic as it is.
Had the cafe indicated any, other than that day, had they indicated any previous issues with this employee, or employee, with this customer, rather?
I don't believe so, no.
How's the assault victim doing? Was assaulted beforehand?
I think he's going to be fine as well. I don't want to talk too much about that, but it's kind of they're indirectly related, but I believe he'll be fine.
Okay. So you guys knew he was in there because the cafe had called. You were looking for him for that assault?
We were looking, yes. The officers knew that he was wanted to be questioned as pursuant to being or the alleged felonious assault. So when they responded and walked in and observed, we had been looking for Mr. Aguilero for
So you already
quite some
knew
time.
the subject you were looking for. Have you run into him before or no?
I believe we've had a few contacts with him. He's pretty new to the community, so I don't know how long he's been here, but yeah.
What sort of contacts have you had before with him?
I think they were minor, nothing of significance. So
Obviously a tough day, as you said. Just what are your thoughts on how your officers handled the situation?
they were fantastic. Some of the stuff that we couldn't show, just as far as how in the totality of this event worked itself out, their role, their professionalism, and how they responded to a very just tragic and horrific situation is commendable, and I'm proud of what they did. Any more? All right, thanks. Have a great day and be safe out there, okay? All right.
Thank you.